I'm Kyle.
Okay.
I'm Tammy.
I'm Paul.
I'm Ashley.
I'm Kathy.
I'm Kirsty.
A lot of the world's population is supported by unsustainable food practices. These practices contribute to problems like desertification, pollution runoff, and biodiversity loss. But there is an alternative, more sustainable method called permaculture, which mimics natural ecosystems and helps to restore the environment while meeting the needs of humans. I've worked on a permaculture project with Students for the Environment called the Food Forest, and what I've learned is there are three key principles to permaculture. They are observation, stacking of functions, and redundancy of functions. Of course, the first step to mimicking is to observe. This is a mistake that a lot of big agribusinesses don't do. They just say, hey, you see all those precious rainforests? Let's cut those down and plant some corn. But you don't want to do that. You want to see what grows already in your environment. You want to see what grows naturally and how it grows. You'll notice that, plants don't just grow in these little rows in the wild. They grow together because they weren't meant to grow in isolation, and they also grow in patterns. You also notice that you want to notice where they grow, right plant, right place. You'll notice that within your climate, there's certain microclimates where there's small differences in the temperature or elevation. For example, on top of a mound, it's drier at the top and wetter at the bottom. And a good application of this is the herb spiral invented by Bill Mollison. It's modeled after the pattern found in nature, usually where space efficiency is concerned. What it does is it compacts a big garden bed into a smaller space by spiraling it upward, and you can plant small plants around it. And what is also beneficial about it is that it creates a lot of different little microclimates. It's drier at the top and hotter, and the sun exposure is different in different places around the mound. It's a good application of one's observation, and you can apply observation even more by putting the plants together in meaningful ways so that all their functions stack together well. Because you want to have as many functions as you can within a single plant. They aren't just for food. They have other vital functions, such as attracting pollinators or beneficial insects. They fix the nitrogen to make it more available for other plants. And some, according to another permaculturist, David Jack, are nutrient accumulators, which they have deep taproots which mine nutrients from deep down and bring it up and concentrate in the leaves. And when those leaves drop down, it fertilizes the rest of the plants. And comfrey is a good example that does it. It has beautiful flowers. It has deep taproots and accumulates nutrients. And it is just an absolute dreamboat among permaculturists. It's everywhere. But it's not the only thing. It's not just comfrey food. You want to have a whole bunch of different plants. You want to have you want to, much like you want multiple functions from each plant, you want to have multiple plants providing each function, because you want to have redundancy. You want to have redundancy. You want to have redundancy. Because redundancy brings resilience. Resilience is like a web. When you have all these multiple threads stringing together, it supports the system as a whole. Whereas if you have just one single variety of one crop, it's like a tightrope over a canyon. And for example, if a pest or disease comes along that can kill off one plant, and they're all the same, then all 300 of its clones will get wiped out. It's also it makes your garden more fuller and more complete to have a whole bunch of different varieties. It makes everything more colorful, all these different colors and shapes, and it extends the harvest because they all bloom and harvest at different times of the year. You also want to have redundancy with your water. You want to have different water sources. The main water supply may not always be there in case of a drought, and it's somewhat costly. You can store it in a water catchment system, and there's also you can store it in a water catchment system, and according to the Florida Housing Data Clearinghouse, how's that for redundancy? Each house in Hillsborough is around 2,046 square feet, and I don't want to bog you down with all the math, but that comes out to about 60,000 gallons of water that falls on that roof each year that you could collect through a water catchment system. It's also beneficial to store the water in the soil. That's the best place is in the soil. You can dig small trenches to keep it in there, and a healthy organic soil will hold the water in very well. And if you follow these principles, you'll usually have a really healthy soil. And there's much more to learn from permaculture, but if you follow those three core principles of observation, stacking of functions, and redundancy, you'll have a very lush, thriving environment, and it won't just sustain itself, but entire communities. Thank you.